Semifinal Saturday has finally arrived. Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here. I'm going to break down two of your bowl games today. That little semifinal game out from Glendale, Arizona, the Fiesta Bowl between Michigan and TCU, and then the early Sugar Bowl battle from New Orleans at the Superdome between Alabama and Kansas State. But before I go any further, just that quick reminder, subscribe to the channel. You can see that little button down below so you don't miss another exciting episode. Okay, maybe it won't be so exciting, but so you'll always be alerted to when I have another video report, more free picks, because I'm going to be here right through March Madness, and then that little thing called baseball, which, believe it or not, is going to be cranked up in about 3 months or so. Yes, so subscribe now to the channel so you always will be alerted. And may I just say, happy early New Year wishes to you all. Don't drink and drive. Be especially careful for all the morons out on the road here tonight. And may I wish you all a prosperous, productive, and may I say profitable New Year too, from a betting perspective. I have to say also, I just never have understood why they continue to have the semifinals on New Year's Eve. I mean, the demographic that the NCAA is going for is that 25 to 54-year-old range. I think most people in that range have other things to do probably on New Year's Eve other than sitting around to watch the late game. I just never have understood. You wouldn't find the NFL having playoff games on New Year's Eve. I just don't get it at all. But then again, I'm not running the NCAA, right? So let's get started first and talk about the semifinal clash between Michigan and TCU. Listen, if you watch the college football show I did all season long with Rick Torino, Rick and I talked about TCU every single week. And we made you a fortune talking about the Horned Frogs because we were pretty much on the money going on or against them all year. And I was a big proponent. I was riding them from week one this season, really. But I got to tell you, I am not giving them my money tonight, and I wouldn't recommend you give them your money either. And it certainly is an attractive proposition getting 7.5 points. But here's how I think this game will play out. I think it's going to be a competitive game at the outset because just like most of these bowl games, and very often you'll find that these teams haven't been playing, for a good 4.5 weeks. There is some rust to be worked out, and I think it's going to be competitive in the first half. But ultimately, I think the difference in this game is that Michigan offensive line, which is so big and so strong, is simply going to wear TCU down. And that is going to be the difference because TCU hasn't played anybody as physical as Michigan all season long. Go up and down the schedule, which I already have. If I had to pick one team that maybe was as physical as Michigan, when I look at that TCU schedule, I would say it was Texas. Now, granted, the Horned Frogs went into Austin and then they beat Texas 17-10 in a game that really wasn't even that close. But that's probably the most physical opponent on the Horned Frogs schedule. And Michigan is head and shoulders better than the Longhorns. Bottom line, that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when I saw how TCU played so many games this year where they came from behind, and listen, they were an exciting team. That's all there was to it. A very exciting team, and they got you the money repeatedly this year. Props to them. They made us a lot of money. But they couldn't get the job done in the Big 12 championship game in their second go-around against Kansas State when they lost 31-28 in overtime, right? A game which Kansas State really dominated throughout until the late comeback by TCU to even force the overtime period. Michigan is not going to be screwing around in this game. We saw how Michigan went into Columbus and absolutely dominated Ohio State. You saw how Michigan used that big offensive line to bring open Donovan Edwards. Does it hurt that Blake Corum is not available? Yeah. But then you saw the game that Edwards had against Ohio State, even though he was playing with that hand in a cast. And apparently he's going to still be playing with his hand in a cast. Whatever that injury is, we don't exactly know, but I do know this. He's rushed for 401 yards and 3 touchdowns in the past 2 games. And that Michigan defense, it's big, it's physical, and I think this is a dirt cheap price to get the Wolverines. Now, I love Michigan in this game, which tells you how much I love the other game, that little game between Georgia and Ohio State, because that happens to be my best bet for the day. And if you want my best bet, FYI, and the best bets of all the guys over at the site, You know you can get them absolutely free today, FYI, by using the one-day all-access pass. If you haven't taken advantage of it yet, do it now over at DeMarcoSports.com. It's that easy. And by the way, Gus Augustine, who's only going for winning day number 10 out of 11, 10 out of 11 since last Wednesday, he's made $10 bettors, $8,700. That's net wins, losses, minus the VIG. He's got his 10th ever raise the bar, $150 dime college football release of his career, and number 6 in a row. It's on the Ohio State-Georgia game. He and I are on the exact same side. The all-access pass, regular price today is $109. You get it for free. Check it out over at DeMarcoSports.com. I think you can spell DeMarco because that's my last name. Add the sports, add the .com, get it now. The all-access pass one day for free. If you've never taken advantage of it before, I think today is a good day to maybe capitalize on that one-day free opportunity. Now, the early game, the Sugar Bowl clash between Alabama and Kansas State. We all know the sidebar here and the subplots. Alabama didn't make it to the SEC championship game, not playing in the Final Four, shall we say. I still like Alabama in this game. You know, listen, I watched Kansas State a hell of a lot. I watched a lot of Big 12 football this year, and I was impressed with Kansas State. And you certainly couldn't help but be impressed with Kansas State, especially after Will Howard took over the starting quarterback job, because in the 4 starts where he replaced Adrian Martinez once Martinez got hurt, the guy really was quite impressive. Nearly 65% completions, a little over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, only 1 interception. But this, I think, makes the difference for Alabama. Once Bryce Young and Will Anderson, who surprised me by committing to play in this bowl game, once they decided to play, that changed the whole metric for me when I analyzed this game. I really thought that with Alabama having no real postseason aspirations, again, not making the SEC championship game, not playing for a national title, I thought those two would just pack it in like so many other players and prepare for the NFL draft. But coming back, and these guys might be the first and probably maybe the third picks in the draft here, that changes, again, like I said, the entire metric. Alabama is 7-point favorite. I think that Nick Saban, will have this team ready here. I think that Kansas State is going to have some problems here keeping up with Alabama in terms of scoring. Yeah, I'm not looking for a defensive battle here. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think both of these teams are going to get minimum 24 points. Obviously, I think Alabama's going to get in the 30s. And I like Alabama here to pull out a high-scoring victory. I know that Kansas State has the number 1 defense in the Big 12, giving up a little over 20 points a game. I know Alabama is number 9 in the country, giving 18 points a game. But again, I think this is going to be an entertaining, high-scoring affair, and I think Alabama is going to win it. And I think it's going to be something like 34-24, somewhere around there, with Alabama covering as a touchdown favorite. Now, clearly, I love Michigan. Alabama's an extra selection. So let me just make that perfectly clear. So that'll do it here for Saturday. I wish you well, guys. And again, Happy New Year to you all. And we'll catch you again soon. Good luck, everybody.